What problems are troubling you? What's frustrating you, bothering you, worrying you? Want solutions? Want answers? Welcome to Here We Come to Save the Day, hosted by David Adelson. This podcast is dedicated to solving everyday and global problems in an uplifting, fun, enjoyable way. There is a solution to whatever's troubling you. Ask your questions and we'll do our best to give you practical, useful, workable solutions you can use starting today. Join us now with David's special guest experts who will share their own experiences, life lessons, and practical strategies for creating the life you long for. Start living your best life today, right now, with David Adelson and friends.
Hi, this is David Adelson. Welcome to another episode of Here We Come to Save the Day. Today we're with Robin Roberts, who is going to tell us how to turn the worst day ever, when just everything is in the pits and you can't seem to get anything right. She's going to tell us how to turn that around so that by the end of the day, you realize that some great blessings have occurred, that you're moving forward in the direction that you want to be moving, and sunshine and rainbows and all kinds of good things. So welcome, Robin. Why don't you give us a quick overview of what we're going to talk about, then we'll talk a little bit about you, and then we'll entertain the people with more in-depth information about exactly how to do this, what your process is. So what's the real quick synopsis, teaser, get them on the edge of their seat wanting more?
Teaser, on the edge of their seat. People, you have a hidden ally. You don't even know who this ally is, but they are with you always, and they really do want the best for you. So who is this ally? That's who we're going to uncover, and we're going to embrace them and have them team up with us in a mindful, intentional way.
Well, that sounds very enticing. I want to know more. So tell us a little bit about you. I know you have a bachelor's degree and you're certified as a hypnotist. Tell me a little bit about that, about your background. I understand you've worked with a large number of people over the years. So what do you want us to know about you?
Well, I am a hypnotist and have been for over 12 years. I became a hypnotist because my brother convinced me that I should be a hypnotist because he was being a hypnotist and he was doing it just for fun. I actually grabbed onto it and started working with people to help them solve their problems. And that's been 12 years now. So well over 1,000 people, many issues, I'm happy to say, many few smokers in the world, yay, many pounds gone, yay, many people sleeping better. And believe it or not, in my business, when I tell people, no matter what, when you come see me, you will sleep better, that's actually a good thing. I'm not putting them to sleep because they're bored. So that's what I do.
I'm assuming you mean they sleep at night better, not they're walking around sleeping all the time. Just that the rest that they need, they're now getting.
Right. Well, you know what? They learn how to relax. They learn how to go into that very deep, comfortable, rejuvenative place. And most people don't have a clue how to relax. And that is one of the best lessons of seeing a hypnotist, of doing self-hypnosis, is you learn that's relaxed. Relaxed is not sitting in front of the television. It is truly a very deep state that lets your body and your mind release the junk and reorganize and get you ready to begin again.
I remember, and I totally get that, because we're not taught to relax. We're taught to do, and strive for the next thing and try, and all of that. And I remember when I first started learning some particular healing skills, it was, I was in a program learning holographic repatterning. And this was, I want to say 30 years ago. Wow. And they were teaching us all these very cool tools. And one of the things that came up is to do a breathing repatterning. And what came out of it was that very few people know how to breathe because we have some trauma that happens when we're young and we catch our breath in our throat and we never go back to normal breathing after that. And again, in our culture, in our society, this is this is now becoming more well taught. There are books out about it now. Yoga people teach it. There's pranayama and breathing techniques and things. But yeah, most of the people are walking around with very shallow breathing, which
Very shallow.
itself is part of the fight or flight response, which keeps you agitated and not resting. So this idea of people being able to actually relax, remember you see in the old Andy Griffith shows and 100 years ago where people would just sit on the porch for hours in the evening.
Oh my gosh. What? I'm not being productive. I can't sit on the porch.
Yeah. And these days, you see somebody sit on the porch for like 5 minutes and then they jump up again. Like, there's something I got to do. And so what you're talking about is very enticing. And I think what we're going through right now in the world, right now, we're in the middle of this global shift, which is expressing itself by having us all stay home and letting the world breathe again. It's very exciting. I just saw yesterday a clip that in India, you can now see the Himalayan mountains again from 230 kilometers away, which you haven't been able to do for decades. And they have pictures of the whole range with snow covered and everything. And because of smog and stuff, that hasn't been there for a long time. So breathing, relaxing, good for all of us. So tell us a little bit more about you.
That has been the business that I've been in, but I'm now expanding, I'm speaking, I'm taking this because it's wonderful if you think, okay, I have this one issue and I want to solve this one problem, but it keeps coming back to the same place. And that is that the answer is within you. That no matter what the problem is, the answer is within you. And so now I am expanding so that I am speaking to corporations, to associations, and I am teaching them this idea that you don't have to be X. We all grew up and we thought, okay, if I get cut off in traffic, I have to be angry. And if I get this, I have to be happy. And if I get that, I have to be sad. And like, here are the rules, follow the rules. And guess what? Those rules don't really have to apply. But you learned them a really, really long time ago. So in order to unlearn them, you have to be intentional. And I would say that most people don't even know that these are rules they've learned. They think they're truths. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Because we do this, we do the same thing. I'm just going to mention that we have a resource page, peaceandharmonydownload.com/resources, where we actually do, there's several things that are there, and two of them are links to alignment clearings. And there's one of them that addressed to this very point. I did a clearing for the Thought Leaders Business Summit last year, and the clearing that we did was to help people remember who they are, what they're here to do, which they knew when they were young, before they learned what the world expected of them, when they knew, Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy were real and superpowers, So, and it's just this, what the world expected of you, because it's exactly right. So many of us believe just what you said. If I get cut off in traffic, I've been trained that I swear, that I get upset, that I don't be understanding, that I do this. Again, just, that I need to strive for the next promotion or the next job or the perfect relationship, or there's so much striving for something, and we're fed all the time commercials and TV shows, and, the mind is very interesting, and I'm sure you'd recognize this. One of the things that people do is that when they're in a situation, we're basically lazy. And I don't mean that in a bad way, because nature takes the course of least action always. That's a principle of physics. So we want to do the same thing. And lazy people can be incredibly productive. Water has a tendency to stay still, but it's that tendency to stay still that causes the rivers and streams and the dams and the ocean to flow, and all of this that happens, all the power that comes from water. So like that, when we're in, how do I want to say this? Well, you know what? Let me let you talk. But this idea of, not knowing what our true response is.
Right. We've been programmed to.
Right. And we just go to the
respond.
fastest, quickest thing in our mind. So we respond by what we saw in a movie yesterday, or what we saw 100 times, whether it was right. I mean, we all know parenting is challenging, and our parents had to do it 24/7. And of course they had bad days. Like, we're going to tell people how to turn around, and they weren't always the kindest.
They did the best they could. And we, when we're born, I go back to my hypnosis, what I tell my clients, my listeners, we're born with one mind, and that one mind is our subconscious mind. We're not born with our conscious mind. That's developed, that's groomed as we get older. And that subconscious mind just sucks in everything from the environment, from your peers, from authority figures, from. And if they're living in their box, hello, what box do you think you're going to get? Now, and you usually go one of two ways. You usually jump right in that box and keep that box, or you think, that box is terrible, I'm going to jump out into this other box, but you create another box. And it's only as you develop that conscious mind that you make different choices, but always the subconscious mind is underlying and has that box, that original box, if you will. So we don't even know. And I like to use this example because I think it's pretty innocuous. I want people to be able to hear it without feeling like they have to defend an attitude they have. So I use the example of silverware, because we're taught a way to use our silverware. And, depending on family, in my family, if somebody else wasn't using the silverware the way I was taught to use the silverware, well, then they were poorly mannered. And so, wow, I'm carrying this around, not even knowing that I look at other people going, And I was married to a Brit. Guess what? In no way do they use the silverware. Not everybody, but in my case. And so it really taught me, wow, I have this underlying standard, if you will, this underlying rule that I was making judgments. And I'm sorry, I know we shouldn't be judgmental, but we do have to judge what works for us, what doesn't work for us. So I was making decisions based on that underlying rule, and that's innocuous. It's silverware. So what else do we carry with us? Do we roll through life with and make a decision about, ooh, look at that person, and they fit, the whole book by the cover thing. So this is about intentionally stepping back and beginning to uncover some deeper ones. And I'll go back to the traffic example, because, okay, you've been taught you should be angry or whatever, but go beyond that. Go deeper than that. Why in the world would you yell at that person who just cut you off when they don't know who you are? They didn't do it to you. They just were driving. And for me anyway, what I finally realized was, oh my gosh, I feel disrespected. And being disrespected makes me feel less than, and that makes me defensive. Like, who are you to treat me like that? And now I'm mad. And all of that thought process, zing, 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 is so fast. And it just comes out like, hey, you know. And so this is where I'm working with people to say, what's under that? No, okay, what's under that? What's under that? And then when you find out it's, oh, that's not a truth, that's a belief.
Or it's a pattern.
Or it's a pattern that I just inherited.
Exactly.
And now I can change it.
Yes, this is I totally agree with you, because this is one of the things that we teach, and I brought it up in a book I wrote a while back, which is in every moment we get to make the choice, first of all, of how we we have an experience. We're driving along, someone cuts us off. Someone uses silverware. And when you're using the silverware, I have an awful lot of friends who use chopsticks. So where does that fit in?
Right?
Yeah.
Yes, because you're scooping it in. Oh my God. If I sat at the table with my family and scooped food into my mouth, the cataclysmic end of the world.
Yeah. So, and that's based on their belief taught by whatever, maybe it was a commercial they saw once. I remember commercials back in the 50s for Mr. Manners. If, oh my God, your napkin fell off your lap and landed on the floor, that was a huge faux pas. And, I don't even know how many people put napkins on their laps anymore, unless you're in a fancy restaurant, but certainly not at home in front of the TV. But this idea that we've created the situation, we're driving. Now somebody cuts us off. Now the first thing, just what we're talking about, and I want to dissect a little bit, and I'm looking forward to hearing your take on this as well. What our thing is that somebody cuts you off, the first thing that you do is that you pass judgment on it, just what you said. I've been slighted, you disrespected me, whatever it was, we pass judgment on it.
Just like fast.
But we have a choice. We could also have the choice that, oh my God, the only reason anybody would ever cut me off is because they're on the way to the hospital, they're having a baby, there's an emergency. It's not necessarily something that that is.
It's not about you, me.
Right, exactly. So we pass judgment, which we have control over, and then having passed judgment, we then decide what our response is going to be based on that judgment. But again, we have all possibilities, but we tend to go with, in truth, what we've seen the most recently. So there is currently no situation in the world, I'm going to step out on a limb here, but from our perspective, there is no situation in the world right now that is resolved by killing someone. And yet, we have wars, we have people who figure out that something inconvenient is solved by this, but the karma or the repercussions of killing someone is so huge. It's a much bigger, it's basically like, okay, here's a mosquito that's about to bite me, but I don't want the mosquito. So here's an atom bomb. We'll just blow up the whole neighborhood, and that way the mosquito won't get me. It's just such an overbearing thing. I
out of proportion, yeah.
Yeah, but Robin, I want to go back to this idea and see if you concur with it, this idea that we pass judgment, we have control over our decisions about that then we choose a response, which we also have control over. And then I think you want to say that maybe there's even some deeper things or something. I'm not sure where you want to go, but does that resonate with your?
Absolutely. And what I'm saying is that first judgment that you're passing is pretty, I think it's very unthinking. I think people are unthinking.
I agree.
And I don't mean that you cannot move through every moment of your life going, okay, what should I do next? Okay. I mean, sometimes you just have to respond. You just have to move forward. So there's a balance. But if you will stop, for example, I'm going to just stick with this traffic one because I think it's just
it's a great one. It's an everyday one, except right now.
Right now you can drive free.
If you allow yourself to go outside.
If you allow yourself to go out. But as you're driving, the patterning is a great word for it, because you have been patterned by yourself and everything else to respond in way X. Now, there are maybe some people who have already done this, so bless you people, but a lot of us are still working through it. And so you're patterned to, oh my gosh, I'm upset about that. What else will go wrong? And you don't think about, why does that upset me? You just, fill in the blank and get upset. And I get pushback from people, but it's the thought that creates the feeling. It's the thought. And people are like, oh no, I just got angry. And I'm like, your thought happened so fast that you don't even know you had it. So whether it's I feel disrespected, or I'm in a hurry too, or whatever it is, that there is a thought. So what makes sense is if we can change that thought, then we can change the reaction, then we can change the action. And I think people are not really on board with, no, it started with a thought. But if you have a response to dogs, you don't like dogs because when you were a kid, a dog scared you. When you see a dog, you have the thought, oh my gosh, and then you have the fear. So it's really important to go back and change the thought and really question it. So the traffic. Did that person really disrespect me? Does that person even know I am breathing and alive? No, that person does not. And as you said, that person may be speeding to the hospital or maybe lost in thought because they've got to go have a performance review with their boss or. So now what we want to do is create the patterning that says, I bless that person. I send that person care and please safety so that that person doesn't have a crash, nor does anybody else have a crash because of them, and that they will, hopefully calm down and have a better day. So now once I'm in that place where I'm having that thought and sending blessings to that person, now I feel better, don't I? Now I'm not so frantic. Now I'm like, you know what? I'll get there when I get there, and I'll deal with whatever I need to deal with when I get there, and we're at ease. And now we can say, you know what? I am really so grateful that when they cut me off, they didn't clip my fender. I'm so grateful I didn't end up in a big crash, especially with this traffic around me. And I am actually having a really good day. You know what? I'm in fact a pretty good driver, and maybe my insurance rates should go down. And now I feel like I'm better. I'm now in forward positive patterning. And that is what I want to teach people how to do it, teach people how to cut the thought off at the pass, change the thought, and then make that a habit so that they are always greeting whatever happens. And there's a very fundamental thought of whatever it is, I can handle it. Whatever it is, I can handle it. And when you come from that place, there is so much peace and power, knowing that no matter what gets thrown at you, you can handle it. And now you don't have to have a knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah. And I love that so much, Robin. I think that's great. I think there's some basic mindsets that we can help, that if we just take on, like, are we thrown into the universe to battle our way out, or is the universe for us? And if you take the attitude that the universe is for you and wants to support you, then, and I really want to bring out that we're talking about a traffic situation because it's a common experience for a lot of us. But what I love about what you're talking about, and again, it's the thing that I share in a lot of the work that I do, is it applies to absolutely everything throughout the day. And, you drop a cup, you discover that you're out of toilet paper or soap or whatever, some horrible thing. And, one of the things that we talk about a lot is inconvenience is not suffering. Somebody cutting you, that's not, No,
I think that this might not be a popular point of view, but I do think that we're soft. We're soft. Oh, I'm suffering. I have to stay in my house. Cut it out.
Yeah, there's some delightful YouTube videos of people in different parts of the world, which are really devastating places to live, saying first world complaints like, I can't find my charger for my iPhone. or, all of these outrageous things. And they're standing among poverty and sickness and
My internet is slow.
no clothes and,
Yeah.
horrible situation, which really puts a spin on it. But I think if we start with that the universe is for me, then
Absolutely.
I can be for the universe. So when somebody does cut me off, instead of feeling like, one of the things that I notice about so many movies is, the call back at the end of somebody who was a little bit rude or something in the beginning gets some snide thing happening to them at the end.
Yeah.
And we don't need to do that. For those of us who explain, as you sow, so shall you reap, the law of karma, third, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. If you understand that, when something not so great happens to you, if we bless it, as you're talking about instead, we're not putting the ball back in play. We're letting
Correct.
it drop out. And if we whack it back in play, it's going to come back and get us again. So I love
Yes.
what you're talking about. And this idea of having a mindset that we're not born to suffer, that the world is for us, and that, just as you say, whether we use the term soft or whether we use the term that we want to grow in power, the final step when you make a sword, back in the old days, I don't know what they do now in factories, but in the olden days with the blacksmith, they heat up the metal, they hammer it, it cools down, they heat it up again, they hammer it when
Makes it better
it's
every
hot
time.
and malleable. And then when they get it, when they finally done enough and they get it exactly the way they want it, they don't stop there. The last thing they do is they heat up the sword as hot as they can possibly get it, just glowing red, this whole thing, and then they shove it in water. And it's this huge challenge to the heat, to the sword, and that's what makes the sword unbreakable. That's what tempers the steel. That's what makes it so solid. Like that, I think that some of the, whether we call them inconveniences or some of the challenges that we have, are just to strengthen us, to improve us, to make us better at who we are.
Absolutely. I had a quote. I'm looking around my office because I'm like, where did I put that? It's wonderful. And it's like, do not pray for an easy life. Pray for strength and persistence. And it was so much better than my interpretation of it. But stop it. If you're looking for ease,
be a daisy.
You're in the wrong place. You're in the wrong place. That's not why we came here, which is not to say the universe is against you. The blacksmith is not against you, sword. The blacksmith is making you the best you can be. And if you will accept the molding and the challenges, you will be fine. You will be sharp. You will be who you were meant to be. But and this, embrace the crummy stuff. Embrace it. What's good about it? What did I learn? How am I better for it? All right, here we go. I learned this, and now I'm moving forward to new adventures. A lot of people come see me because one of the questions I get actually is, can you make me forget? And now fill in the blank. Him, her, it, that, whatever it is. And no, I would never do that. And that doesn't serve you. It serves you to remember that, but not the emotion and not the fear or the upset or the hurt, not that, because we just have to move through that. But in the end, when you get to the place where you can go, oh, this was the gift. This was the gift of that 20-year marriage. This was the gift of that pet who's now over the rainbow bridge. This was the blessing. Now I'm moving forward with good stuff. I'm not dragging forward and bringing all the unhappiness with me. So it's moving from that, oh, this is a mess, to, oh, this is a blessing, a gift, a lesson, and I'm all on go forward now.
Yeah. So what we're encouraging people is to look for, does this strengthen me? Does this serve me? Does this make me stretch my wings? We're actually hugely powerful beings. And in the United States, we have no clue. I'm not going to go into this story here, but I tell it in other places about a friend who went to Australia and spent 6 months living with Aborigines. And this was decades ago. And when he came back, he said what he learned from them is that if people in the United States heard how powerful they were, they'd be terrified of how much control they have over what they are. But I want to, you know about the butterfly cocoon thing?
Oh, the struggle?
Yes.
The butterfly struggle?
Yeah,
Absolutely. And you know what? That's a great hypnosis session, by the way, my friend. I will tell that when I have a client in hypnosis. I will share this story because the mind thinks in pictures. The mind will take the metaphor and apply it. But the metaphor is this, that as the caterpillar has gone into the chrysalis and has changed now into the butterfly, it has to break out of the cocoon. And there was a study where they helped the butterfly break out of the cocoon. And when they did that, the butterflies didn't survive. Because you see, the butterfly needs to break out, and then they need to dry their wings. And all of this is part of their process. It's what makes them strong. It is what causes them to survive. So the struggle is part of what makes them as beautiful as they are.
Yeah, and the way that I heard it, to add to that, is that if it's the exercising their wings to break the cocoon is what makes the wings strong enough to help them fly. And if they don't do that, they can't fly, and they're butterflies. So how do they survive if they can't fly? That's what caterpillars were for. So
yes, there you go. And see, sometimes we are the butterflies stuck in the cocoon going, somebody get us out of here. Instead of, to use an old expression, bellying up to the bar and getting on with business. Just walk through it.
Except that maybe the butterfly isn't that way. Maybe we're that way, imposing that thought on the butterfly.
No, I'm saying we are. That's us. It knows. It doesn't think, oh my God, I've got to go through
this. It's thinking, I can do this. I can do this. So
it just knows. And you know what? That's the very cool thing. There are things that have been subjugated within us. A knowingness has been subjugated within us. And not for a malevolent purpose, but maybe so that our parents could keep us under control when we were kids. I got a wild child here, and so I'm going to keep tamping down that spirit instead of challenging it and channeling it in a different way. And again, parents, love you. I am one. Did the best we could. But that's our work, isn't it? Our work is then to come back to who we are, how powerful we are. And I think, honestly, your friend is right. If people understood how powerful they were, it would scare the heck out of them. And now we have a whole nother issue about, now I'm really worried about screwing up.
Well, it would terrify them until they realized that they could embrace it. And I honestly think that's part of what's going on with what's going on globally right now, is that people are re-empowering themselves. And I think as people realize that they're powerful, and powerful means, it all boils down to that we have much more control over creating the life we want, the experiences that we want, than we have ever been led to believe. We have been brought up to believe, and we're going to go back to the traffic analogy. We've been brought up, my sister, who helped teach me how to drive, my older sister, her favorite part of the day was yelling at people who was yelling at traffic all around her, and she just jumped into it and she loved it. And I didn't always embrace that the way she did, because I thought one could be kinder. But people are brought up that they believe they need to respond a certain way, and empowerment is, no, you don't. You can actually respond in a way that serves who you want to be, that helps give you the experiences that you want to have. And when we talk about people being powerful, that's all we're talking about, is when you go swimming, do you want to be afraid of the water, or do you want to be able to splash and have a great time? That's a very simple choice. but I have problems with bridges. I've had problems with bridges my whole life. I would love to not have problems with bridges, and I keep working on it. And I figure one of these days I'm going to get it.
I've had a client. We worked through that, and she had to drive in Dallas a lot. Oh, Dallas is all overpasses and flyovers, and so
Yeah.
yep, we took care of that. So we'll talk.
Yeah, so that's the kind of thing. We need to kind of wrap up here. I know you have some. I want to just have you reiterate that what you talked about in the beginning. We have told people.
Oh, the secret ally.
Is,
well, we've been talking about nothing but the secret ally, which is your subconscious mind. It is there to serve you, and it does not have anything but your best interests at heart. And people misunderstand that. But here's the trick to the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is not logical. That's your conscious mind. It's not linear. That's your conscious mind. Your subconscious mind is literal. So if your subconscious mind was impressed with, this is how I should act in traffic because I watched dad yell or my sister yell while they were driving, then it's in the subconscious mind, and it just goes, this is the push the button, that's the program. So now we got to go in and say, okay, subconscious mind, thanks for hanging out with me, thanks for doing that, but we have a new way to do it. And this is where hypnosis comes in, and all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. If you will sit down, breathe, take yourself to a quiet place and see a new picture, your subconscious mind is listening with pictures, and it will embrace it and will strengthen that. The more you see that picture, the more you say, this is my picture, the more you're programming yourself. You are getting that ally, your subconscious mind, to respond as you want it to respond, to create the life you want to create. And it is that malleable. It has no dog in the hunt. It will do what you tell it to do. But most people make the mistake of changing their conscious mind. I'm going to not eat sugar anymore. I'm going to not smoke anymore. But they forget to inform the subconscious mind, who says, you know what, when I eat cake, oh, I feel comforted. So guess what it's going to do? It's going to comfort you. So now we need to change that picture of what comfort is. That's a really quick version of that. But that is the subconscious mind, your ally, and working with it so that you are truly in alignment with who you truly want to be, who you were born to be, the purpose that you have.
So thank you so much for going over that. I want to do a little wrap up. I know you have some resources that you want to share with our audience.
Yes, how to change your not good, very bad day. I have a little cheat sheet for you. There's 5 steps. It's a 5-step process of how to do some of this work that we've been talking about. And you can go on and get the PDF for that. And that is at my website, which is errrgggghs.com. And you'll see that on that homepage. And I'm also going to be doing workshops, and that will be also, you can sign through. When you get the PDF, it will ask you if you would be interested in doing a workshop. Of course, it'll be Zoom, of course. And then if you really think, wow, I want to work on this privately, of course, we can do that. But it is my goal to teach people about this ally that they have, to use it intentionally. And you know what? When I'm happier and you're happier and the person next door is happier and the person down the block is happier, the whole world is happier, right? Peace and harmony. There you go.
Yeah. So, and by the way, all of the web addresses will be in the show notes on the page, so you can click and get the link. But tell us one more time.
Sure. My website is RR, as in Robin Roberts, errrgggghs.com.
So perfect. And thank you for mentioning peace and harmony. I do want to give a shout out. This podcast and all of ours use a peace and harmony program to help generate peace and harmony everywhere. You can get a free version for yourself at peaceandharmonydownload.com. It reduces family squabbles. It stops customer complaints. People say, we don't know how it works, but it works. It's completely silent. Just play it in the background. So that's peaceandharmonydownload.com. Robin, it's been a great joy. I would love to keep talking with you, but I think we should wrap up here.
Okay.
Maybe we'll have you again sometime, but I think this is very useful. I completely concur with, this whole idea that we have so much more control over what our life is and what we experience, and so much of what we do, we don't really think about. And one of the things that I want to challenge people to do in search, in quest of this, is when you have a response, whatever happens during the day, see how you feel and see if that's how you want to feel. And
Yes.
if you want to feel that way, enjoy it and love it and be happy that you're sad or angry or whatever. But if you don't love that, then here's, some tools that you can use that Robin has very kindly given us. And we know there are others. And one of the first things is just to decide that I don't want to be the person who yells at my kids in this situation. I don't want to be the person that breaks down because there's a hole in my pocket. I don't want to be, I want to be somebody who's stronger than that, who's more powerful, who seeks joy, who doesn't seek problems. Whatever person you want to be, you can become that person. And here's a way to start. And once you start that search, it can go on to many, many things that can help you.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for being here. We so appreciate your work, and we're very grateful for the 1,000+ people that you have helped. And may you go and through your workshops help tens of thousands of people become better at being themselves than they have ever been. So is that a good wish for you?
That is thank you. That's a fabulous wish for me. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Good. Okay. So come back again for another podcast version. And for all our audience listeners, please come and enjoy more and more of the show. Share it with your friends. Tell other people about it. Tell people about the Peace and Harmony Download program, peaceandharmonydownload.com. Tell them about the resource page, because there are clearings there for healing and health, and for helping you figure out what to do at this time that's challenging for the world, and just to help, reduce family squabbles. And we're all in close quarters. So unfortunately, there's been a little bit of an increase of that going on. So here's a perfect solution. And these programs can be used. We have particular versions for hospitals. We can play it for a whole hospital that's everybody's traumatized. We can give the healing to that. So if you know somebody who has influence in a hospital, we're happy to give it to the hospital. We're happy to give it to the first responders, the fire departments, the military, anybody, even businesses. If they would like a version of the program suitable for the level of people and the size, please contact us. So we're here to help. So Robin, thank you one more time, and have a great rest of the day. And everyone go to her site and get the free resources and improve yourself, improve your day, improve who you want to be. It's much, my dad had an expression, which is, it's better to be rich and healthy than poor and sickly. And it's also better to be happy than not happy. It's better to be happy with who you are than
anything else.
Then continue going on being something that, my mother used to apologize to us all the time for her blow-ups. And she knew she didn't want to be that person. Here's a tool that Robin's giving us that can help. So thank you, Robin.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for listening to another helpful, fun, and life-changing episode of Here We Come to Save the Day with David Adelson. To access the show notes and additional resources, go to herewecometosavetheday.com. If you've enjoyed the show and find it helpful and fun, please leave us a review and share with a friend. Tell us issues troubling you or questions you have. We're here to help you. That's what Here We Come to Save the Day is all about. Till next time.